We used to be a team no one respected. We used to be a team no one feared. That was then. This is now.
First victory of the year on the line. Goff's got it. Back, looks, throws, end zone. Yes. Caught!
You know who we are.
10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
And you know where to find us. We won't be far. We'll be on your front porch waiting for you. We are the New Era Lions. And
we are driven by Detroit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another live stream edition of Motor City Mania. I am your host, David T. Pike, and it seems kind of be surreal to say this, but the Lions are officially going to the NFC Championship game. How unfreaking believable. I remember when I started talking about this upcoming season, I was like, hey, you know what, man? Lions will win 11, 12 games. They'll win a playoff game, win the division crown. But I said, I was like, listen, I give it a 50-50 shot if the Lions get to the championship game. Well, if I was a betting man, I would have won a lot of money on that 50-50 bet because we officially are there, baby. We're traveling to San Francisco, to Levi Stadium, to play the 49ers for all the marbles to go to the Super Bowl. How ridiculously unbelievable it is to think about it. Like I said, it's hard to wrap my brain around. It really freaking is. And I'm sure for a lot of Lions fans, even the most devout ones like myself, it's still kind of a hard concept to believe. It's like you're trying to take in all of that information. You're trying to take in all that stimuli, and it's just like overwhelming. But we're going to get to some of these comments here really quickly. Hopefully some more people will start showing in. I always tell them it starts at a certain time, but people's kind of, straggle in. But we'll get to that in a moment here. A couple comments I'll get to really quickly. Dave Bradley says, this Aaron Glenn defense is a dumpster fire defense waiting to happen. Bo Booth says, defense came through. Hero play goes to Derek Barnes. Interception to seal the deal. Goff was the man. Frank Ragnow is the Iron Man.
A lot of hours in that.
He then follows it up by saying that Sheila is the boss. She's the queen of the Lions. Steve-O Baby says, how's it going, David? Shock, but it's a good shock. That's the best way I can put it. Jay Goodwin says, been waiting for this all my life. One pride. Grand Theme says, I was looking forward to hearing y'all live show. What happened? Part of it was, dude, I couldn't possibly figure out how I was going to do the live stream show and also do this because literally that live stream for the game ended like an hour ago. To try and do that live show, then try and set this one up was just going to be too crazy to do. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to watch the game and I'm going to enjoy it. Plus on that, I'm going to admit that I'm not exactly feeling the greatest. I'm not sick, but I do have a bit of a problem that's going on right now that's kind of making it a little bit difficult for me to do things. So I'm trying to rest as much as I can, but that's why I said I was going to do the post-game show. I was not going to do the live stream for the actual game. William Massling says, they did it, made us all nervous, Rex, but how sweet it is, indeed. LDB Tennis says NFC champ appearances. Goff is 2 and Dak is 0. Goff is greater than Dak. There's been no debate about that. Think about it. Nobody thought that Goff was going to get back this far. Nobody thought he'd even get back this close. And yet, here we are with the Detroit Lions of all teams. Not the LA Rams, the Detroit freaking Lions. And then LDB Tennis continues saying Goff does it without McVay. Then says Goff 3 years in LA, NFC champs. Goff 3 years in Detroit, NFC champs. Kind of interesting how that symmetry works. Brent DeWitt says, the thing I loved most about Goff's postgame was he said, we're not here by accident. JG isn't going to be satisfied until he brings back the Super Bowl and wins it. Oh, I guarantee you. I agree with you 100%. Chuck Osborne says, great game. Go Lions. LDB Tennis says tied at the half. Bucs get the ball to start the second half. Lions D stops them on the first drive. Lions offense takes over from the game in the fourth quarter. LDV Tennis says Collinsworth thought he was setting up Goff for failure by saying that it was his time for a takeover game. Goff took over the game. Arch Stanton says, Rams fan here, crazy how things work out. I know a lot of Lions fans rooted for Staff and the Rams during our Super Bowl run. Now we root for you to take down the hated Niners. Should be interesting. It is interesting and ironic at the same time. Arch Stanton then follows up and says, obviously Goff has played them quite a bit. Not going to be easy, but if the offensive line continues to hold up, they have a damn good shot. Coming to the stage is Chemical. How's it going?
What's going on, fellas?
Oh, not much. Just another day in the neighborhood. Arch Stanton follows up again and says, I would expect the Niners to play much better next week than they did yesterday. LDB Tennis puts in again, says Goff is 3-0 versus Steve Wilkes D. Wilkes is the DC of the Niners. That's an interesting point. Dale says, let's go. Rich Hustle says, yo, Dave. Phil Feist says, CJ handed the interception ball back to Mayfield. Man, you want to talk about trash talking in the ultimate manner. That's doing it right there. LDV Tennis says, Dave, I called it. I have them going to the Super Bowl. Hey, you know what? That's great, man. That is absolutely great. SW Lion 26 says, hi all, got locked out of my account, had to open a new one. This Lions team has a lot of heart and mental toughness. Oh, I would agree there. Braylon Dennis says, we fucking did it. Goff is a winner, says LDV Tennis. Phil Feist says, 1980, Billy Sims. I don't understand what these numbers mean, Phil Feist. You might have to explain those to me in another text or another comment. I don't know what those mean. Braylon Dennis says, Derek Mother Frickin' Barnes. Thanks for the donation, Braylon. Rich Hustle says, shout out to Ragnar for playing with all the injuries and shit he's had going on. Oh, absolutely. Man,
Gladiator.
Braylon Dennis says, Goff is the man. Facebook user says, exciting times to me. Absolutely. Braylon Dennis says, F Hooker, Goff is the future. I've been saying that for years on end.
For the last 3.
BT Ops 595 says, go Lions from Trenton, Michigan. LDV Tennis says, hit the like button. SW Lion says, I'm so happy for Goff. Bobby Armstrong says, hey, Bominski is here. Arch Stanton says that offensive line is the real hero, best in football, I do believe. If they aren't the best, they are the second best, without a doubt. Ted Scheller says, California, here we come. Oh, hell yes, California, here we come. Sunny, balmy California.
For the gold rush.
Yep. LDV Tennis says, where is the Giants fan who told us that Daniel Jones is better than Goff? Who's Daniel Jones? That's true. Peter Jabatak says, go Lions. You think Debo plays next week? I would be shocked if he didn't play. Just for one simple reason. It's the NFC Championship game. This is the game that sends you to the Super Bowl. Unless that shoulder will not work, you play.
Right.
Brian Taylor says, Lions win, free Big Macs tomorrow. Yes. Going to be a lot of Big Macs, I think, are going to get sold. Braylon Dennis says, Goff haters are silent right now. Of course they're silent, and they're going to be silent until Goff has a bad game or some shit comes up. That's what they do. They're cockroaches. They ain't nowhere to be found when the light's on, but once that light turns off, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Majaski says, if we stop the long passes, we have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. That's a very big if. Buckeye in Michigan says, Detroit has a chance to exercise the demons of 91 and win a spot in a Super Bowl. Absolutely. Braylon Dennis says, prayers for Jonah Jackson, need him back quickly. I agree there. LV Tennis says, with that on the game tape, CJ handing the ball to Mayfield, I'll have to go back and check it myself personally. I don't remember seeing that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Jerome Lewis says, Dave, I love your show, man. Super Bowl, here we come. Still got to go through the 49ers first, but
One
I like
game,
this.
one game at a time. One game at a time, sir.
Edge Truth says, the only way for Detroit to be taken seriously is if for the Detroit Lions to win the championship by beating the 49ers in San Francisco. Dude, I don't care what anyone says at this point. All anybody thought the Lions were going to do was win the division and win a playoff game. They have done that and then some. Nobody seriously thought they were going to get to the championship game. And at this point, they've proven every single doubter, every single critic wrong. And I'm telling you this right now. I don't care what anyone says this offseason, Detroit is going to get a lot of big free agent name acquisitions because everyone's going to be like, okay, we've now seen the Lions go from 3-13-1 to 9-8 to freaking 12-5 and in the championship game. You've proven that the methodology works. You've proven that Dan Campbell's vision works. And it's like, listen, you bring in high-profile free agents like C.D. Deuce. You get Jared Goff. You get all these rookies. It's like, listen, you've got a core nucleus there that is going to work for a long period of time. Now you just need to add more talent. And that's not hard to add if you've got people that really, really want to play for you. And I guarantee you this, people want to play for the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell.
It's becoming a player's destination.
Exactly. Chuck Osborne says, what happened about Houston? I thought you were supposed to play today. Dude, that still pisses me off because it's like, listen, man.
They're saving him towards next week.
That's the only thing I can think of. He's been a full participant in practice for 2 straight freaking weeks. 2 straight weeks he's been a full participant in practice, and they still didn't play him. Now, granted, we got 4 sacks today. Great thing. But it's like, listen, you cannot, under any circumstances, not play him next week. But we'll talk about that later. LW10 says, this team will be better next year, more pieces, but here we are going to the championship game. Steve O'Baby says, I know how many Big Macs I'm getting. Rich Hustle says, how fitting is it for Barnes to blow a safety sack versus Dak that could have changed the trajectory of that game, then a game-ending interception? What a full circle moment for him. Hey, sometimes you just got to take the opportunities you're given. Gun Guy says, so who's benching Goff for Hooker now? Facts. Let's see here. Patty Grimes says, I said at the beginning of the year the Lions winning 2 playoff games. Check the tape. I'd have to go back and check it, my friend, but that'll be a long time ago. Because actually, I couldn't probably check it because those videos don't exist anymore. Thank you, YouTube. Hookie Doo says Detroit is bringing an earthquake to San Francisco. They just might. Brent DeWitt says, I watched the Niners game, and I think we can pound the rock unless they ridiculously stack the box. Thoughts? Well, here's the thing, Brent. You stack the box, okay, now you're going to take away the run game. But what did we just see this game? The Bucs specifically tried to stack the box and take the run game away from the Lions. Okay, Jared Goff over the top. We can win either way. Again, you have to account for all what's the word here? For all contingencies, pardon me. Arch Stanton says it rained all throughout the game in San Francisco yesterday. Looks like sunny skies in California next weekend. Should benefit both quarterbacks. Absolutely. Ronald Nurstall says or asks, can we beat the 49ers? Yes, we can beat them. Will we? That's the question. Gordon DePress says, how serious is Brock's injury? Nobody knows, but according to Dan Campbell, he says it's in jeopardy for him being able to play this upcoming game. And Chuck Osborne says, Dave, those who want Hooker to play need to stop smoking in the grass. Arch Stanton says, I'm a Rams fan that just seen about every Niners game this year. And though I think they can play much better next weekend, the Lions can absolutely beat the Niners. Brian Taylor says, Golden Gate Bridge versus the Mackinac Bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, go Lions, 35-28. DP Buck 32 says, go Lions. Good luck, Lions fans, from a Bucs fan. Patty Grimes says, anything is possible. Dean DeGreer says, I think this should silence all the Goff haters who said we needed a mobile quarterback. No, they ain't going to ever go away. They ain't ever going to go away because people were saying it during the game. Oh, I know Goff's playing good, but could you honestly say that it wouldn't be better if we had a mobile quarterback? I can, I do, I will say that.
So he was mobile today.
About to say, up until like the fourth quarter, he had the longest run of our offense.
Yes, sir.
But all right, here we're gonna now get into these topics really quickly. As everybody already knows, as I've been going through the comments, any comments will be devoted to talking about any questions as well. But let's start with the first topics of the day. So Jay, you'll be up first. So for you, any winner? Well, not any. What winners are for the Lions' playoff victory over the Bucs? What do you got?
I got JG16. Fans finally giving him his respect. They chanted his name last week. They chanted it again about around 1 o'clock today. It put him in a whole nother level. And that, I think, ended up getting us that win. Jahmyr Gibbs, he really lit up the field. The Buccaneers didn't know how to cover him, what to do with him. CJ Deuce for that interception. Barnes for his interception. Reynolds, Laporta, I mean, like, whole offensively. Dan Campbell for not going too
Too aggressive?
Too aggressive. I did not like the fact that he didn't try and challenge that play, but I understand why he did it. Like,
all right.
I think he was trying to be more like
conservative if he needed the challenges later.
Yeah. So
right.
I mean, it did end up hurting us at the end, and then I think the final winner is going to be Detroit fans, because I think we finally get rid of AG after this year.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll see what happens later, but we'll see what happens. All right, Chemical, who are your winners from this game?
All right, let me see if I can go on the road, because this is about to be similar to Jay's. Okay, we're gonna go for Jared Goff. We're gonna go for Frank Ragnow. We're gonna go for CD Deuce. We're gonna go for Barnes, Gibbs, Montgomery when he needed it, Laporta, St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, whoever tipped that ball so CD Deuce can get that pick.
Actually, nobody tipped it. It went through Mike Evans' hands.
Oh.
He dropped it.
Oh.
One of the best in the game, and he dropped it.
Oh, man.
But continue.
We can just keep it going. Just about the whole thing all the way around. We had a few moments where it kind of looked down, but Melvin Fonwu for stopping that 2-point conversion too against Evans.
Yeah, and Evans was over there pleading his case. It's pass interference. No, the hell it's not. Don't tell us, Lions fan, that's pass interference. We already heard that one.
As a matter of fact, it would have been pass interference on Mike Evans because he was tugging on Melvin Fonwu's jersey. Either
way, it's like, listen, don't you dare call that pass interference. We had to deal with that bullshit back in 2014.
Oh yeah.
But all right, my winners today, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, Jared Goff definitely deserves that because, dude, Jared Goff has been playing at a top 3 quarterback level. I mean, no interceptions, 100-plus pass rating the last 2 games, just been absolutely playing lights out. Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely deserves to get some praise because the man ran the ball well, caught the ball well. Amon-Ra St. Brown always does what he needs to do. Sam Laporta and Frank Ragnow definitely deserve praise because they gutted it through injuries, especially Ragnow. Defensively, I'm going to talk about obviously CD Deuce, but CD Deuce is a winner because he was able to, like I said in my episode, kind of back up what he was saying in that trash talking and, get kind of the better of Baker Mayfield. Because it's like, listen, Baker Mayfield had 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions, right, wrong, or indifferent, definitely made the difference in us winning the game. So CD Deuce, Ife Melifonwu, he has been – I know a lot of people wanted to get rid of him because they thought he was a wasted pick. But, dude, these last 5-6 weeks, he has been on a tear as a defensive back, man. He's been just completely destroying people. Brian Branch, I thought, did a great job. Hutchinson, again, did a great job. So, I mean, there's a lot of people. Michael Badgley coming through with clutch kicks.
Right. I almost forgot about him.
Yeah, so everybody – there were a lot of winners, but I think also the city of Detroit's probably the biggest winner because, like, listen, man, we are literally seeing history unfold before our very eyes. So for me, it's just like, hey, you know what? All the winners out there are doing great, in my opinion. Let's take a look at some of these comments here really quickly.
Excuse me.
Gordon Depress says Money Badger, okay, because he's talking about Michael Badgley. Yeah. Nicholas Johnson gives a pump arm. Yeah, Gordon says special teams was great today. They were pretty good.
Yeah,
William Astlink says Ragnow.
Yes, sir.
Brent DeWitt says before the game, I said feed Gibbs and Jango because speed kills. Both showed out, especially Gibbs.
Yeah.
Braylon Dennis says winners, CD Deuce, Barnes, St. Brown, Reynolds, Jamo, Gibbs, and Badgley. LDV Tennis says Chase Young has been average for the Niners. Holmes knew what he was doing. I mean, hey, say what you will. It's like, listen, you get to the NFC Championship game, you can't really argue with the results too much. Michael Fitzpatrick says, somebody call Hawkinson and ask him, how's that winning going? I'm sure he's not feeling too good right now. His knee's feeling pretty bad, I'm betting.
Right.
Art Stanton says, it's a game of turnovers next weekend. Whoever wins that battle wins the game, I do believe. The turnover battle is what's going to ultimately win the game 95% of the time. LDV Tennis says his winners are Goff, Gibbs, Ragnow, and the whole team. I wouldn't say the whole team, but we'll get to that in a minute. Osborne says winner, Goff, Gibbs, rest of the offense, the defense at sacking Mayfield, the coaches, and the fans. Seafull says Craig Reynolds for his one play, and that was a touchdown. That is true.
Yeah, he came through.
Tribe says Purdy is a little twerp. Forget biting his kneecaps, break his leg in half. I'm not gonna advocate for inflicting pain intentionally, but okay. LW Tennis says St. Brown is the most clutch wide receiver. DeWitt says Hutch and Goff, everyone stepped up at crucial times. This was definitely another team win.
Mm-hmm.
Brent DeWitt says St. Brown isn't going to be stopped. Mark Stover says I've got okay. Good for you, man. Good for you. Stephanie Rice says love number 26 Gibbs. Thanks for the comment. Steve JM says a big shout out to all the rookies. We're going to talk about them here in a minute. Alan McMillan says Jared Goff calm, great general, steady. Robert Porticus says Lions versus Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Now that would be interesting. How the season began is how the season ends.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Rich Force says I saw a team that knows how to win all situations, and different players step up each week. The resolve and toughness shows big time. Tough team to game plan against. It is tough. It is very tough because they're always going to give you something different. All right, let's take a look-see here at this second question. Chemical, you're up first for this one. Any losers from this victory against the Bucs? What do you got?
Sutton.
I'm definitely I can't disagree with you on that one. But that's just me, to be honest.
He was getting burnt.
All right, fair enough. Anybody else? I don't think so. I think Chemical had to take a phone call. Jay, what about you? Do you have any losers from this game? As if I had to take a guess.
I got Cam Sutton at the top of my list. He ain't looking like that cornerback that we thought he was going to be. I don't know if he's because he ain't got no help or what's going on with that situation. Vildor, because I don't think he's a solid number 2 or a solid number 3. Other than that, I want to put AG out there just because, it looked like he was just giving the Buccaneers yards, especially with the tight end. Had no game plan for the tight end. He it looked like they literally let that running back walking to the touchdown. I'll be glad to go see when he goes. When he goes, I will throw a party and be the happiest.
All right, fair enough. Here's what I'm going to say. I mean, Cameron Sutton, in my opinion, is definitely the biggest loser because it's like, listen, man, it's like it'd be one thing if Cameron Sutton was just getting burned every so often, but it's like, damn, the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's been getting burned unrelentlessly. And it's like, listen, I get it. You're going against the top receiver of opposing offenses. This week, it was Mike Evans. Last week, it was freaking, Cooper Kupp or Nakua. The week before that, it's Jefferson. The week before that, it's CeeDee Lamb. The week before that, it's Jefferson again. It's like, listen, that's your job assignment. Your assignment's to go up against those top guys. And it's like, listen, every single week, he has given up over 125 to near 150 yards in receiving yardage to those receivers. Now, it's not always on him, but it's like, dude, it seems like every time we turn around, he's making more bad plays than good ones. And it's just like, I can't understand why, as a cornerback that played with Pittsburgh for as long as he did, and last year in Pittsburgh, he played great. He was one of the best cornerbacks in the league for Pittsburgh last year. And it's like, listen, dude, it's like, I get it. You don't have any other cornerbacks that are helping you out, but you can't say you don't have any safety help over the top. You've got C.D. Deuce. You've got Iffy. You've got Kirby Joseph. You've got Brian Branch. It's not like you're lacking any safety help. But yet every stinking week he is getting torched. So there's that one.
He had a few good plays during the game.
He had a few good ones, but it's like, listen, those you got to have more good plays than bad plays, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
AG, I mean, I will give AG some credit on this. Like, that dude was calling up those slot blitzes on the edges from those cornerbacks and safeties. That was brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, listen, the Bucs could not figure out how to stop that, and that got 3 out of our 4 sacks this game, which was important. Because at that last one that Reeves-Maben got, freaking, you could tell that Mayfield was rattled because he was pissed off at Reeves-Maben. So it's like that worked to perfection. So as much as I don't like AG, it's like, listen, when he had to make those defensive calls, he made the right ones. Did it always work? Hell no, but it worked enough to work to get the game won.
Oh, yeah.
So
they did a lot more locking down than not.
That's true. Let's see here. What do some people say here? Seffel says Sutton. Patty Grimes says Baker Mayfield. Well, I mean, he did lose, so I guess that puts him in that category. Luke 182777 says it has been written in the stars the Lions will go the distance. Oh, I'm hearing the freaking 1997 Hercules movie in my head. Quick Wrench Tool Junkie says 49ers is going to be a tough game. It should be a tough game. It's the championship game. It's going to be a hard game. LW Tennis says versus the Packers, Purdy's PFF grade was 59.7. His passing grade was 55. That's not good at all. Perry Ball says AG Sutton were his losers. Gordon DePress says whoever decided not to broadcast the anthem. I didn't even see that part, so I can't even say that. Grand Theme says, what happened to the white dude with beard from last week? Who was hammered as hell? Are you referring to DC? He wasn't hammered. He was sick. LW Tennis says they did not broadcast the anthem for the Kansas City Bills game. I'm not watching that game. I really don't care because that's not going to affect us until we get to the Super Bowl, if we get to the Super Bowl. I keep saying if because I'm not taking anything for granted. Luke 18277 says the Lions have a couple of cracks in the foundation, but who doesn't? No team's perfect. The Lions have what it takes to persevere, even with Sutton out there. You only really see the bad. Braylon Dennis says, Goff, get that money. Absolutely. Edge Truth says the winners in this game are the refs for calling a good game. For the most part, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Brian Taylor says Goff, Laporta, and Hutchinson are the MVPs. Javier SC says Brent DeWitt says Sutton hasn't been right since his toe injury. He's a number 1.5 to 2 cornerback when he's healthy, but he's lost a whole half or a full step since getting hurt. In his current condition, he needs more help over the top. That's possibly a good point. Grand's Theme says that Ragnow gets the Iron Man award. Oh, absolutely. That dude's got injuries on injuries, and he still keeps playing. Rich Hustle says, have you heard or seen the shit about the Super Bowl logo having the colors of the teams that will be in the Super Bowl on top of a news channel saying it will be Ravens versus 49ers? Listen, here's the thing, dude.
That's the conspiracy.
I was about to say, it's a conspiracy theory. It's a theory that people say, oh, the Super Bowl colors represent who's going to the Super Bowl. Listen, I don't care about that because let's go back and watch every freaking Super Bowl that's ever been played with the team's primary colors. I guarantee you the colors don't make a damn bit of difference in that. People are just looking for something to talk about.
Yeah.
Because, okay, let's say the 49ers and the Ravens do wind up going to the Super Bowl. Is that really going to surprise anybody? No, the 49ers have been probably the best team in the NFC, and I'm a Lions fan. I can freely admit that. And the Ravens have been on a tear this year. So it doesn't surprise me.
Right.
So, again, it's just for me, it's like, you know what? If it happens, it happens. But I'm not going to say that, again, it's just scripted that, oh, well, whoever the colors are of the Super Bowl, that's who's going to the Super Bowl.
That's crazy, ain't it?
Exactly. LV Tennis says, should have signed Goff before the season. I still think Goff takes a team-friendly deal. He loves being in Detroit. Oh, I agree.
Yeah, he going to show some love because he going to want some talent around him.
I know. All right, let's move into the next topic here. So, Jay, you'll be up first. So here we go. The Lions have won their second playoff game in a row for the first time since 1957 and are on their way to the NFC Championship game. Where does this season rank out of all Lions seasons that you can think of? What do you got?
I mean, I've only started watching them since Matthew Stafford first came, so this is going to have to go to the top of my book.
All right, fair enough. I love it. Short, simple, to the point. What do you got, Chemical?
Ooh, I've seen the Lions in 1991 when I was in my senior year in high school, so this got to rank number 1, and that one may be number 2.
All right. I'm just going to say this. Like, I was born in 94. I really didn't start watching the Lions until like the early 2000s. So for me, this is number 1 in my opinion because I'm like, listen,
number 1 though.
I mean, I know the history, but it's like, listen, I've never seen the Lions win a playoff game. I've seen them go to the playoffs, but I've never seen them win 1, let alone 2 up until now. So it's like, for me, perspective is everything. This is the greatest season of Lions football that I've ever witnessed. But it's like, listen, you ask the old timers that were around in 1957 when we last won a playoff game, like this might be number 2, maybe number 3 to them. I don't know.
Right.
So I guess perspective is everything in this whole kind of little thing. But for me, it's like, listen, even if you include 57 and, 54 and 52 or 53, whichever other one it was, it's like, listen, all those seasons are great, but it's like, listen, you have a chance to go to a Super Bowl here. We have not been to a Super Bowl yet. We've won championship games. Right. Now it's a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So if nothing else, this season's got to be up there at number 2 or 3, depending upon whichever season you think's more impressive.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion.
Right.
Let's see here. We have some comments here, obviously. LDB Tennis says Goff is better than Purdy. Yeah. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say equal to. I'm not going to say he's better than. I'll say he's equal to. Because Purdy's no freaking slouch.
No.
LDB Tennis says this is his number 1 season. Seffel says there was a newscast that announced the band's playing in the Super Bowl of 49ers versus Rams. Dude, at this point.
Who cares?
Exactly. The game's going to be played. At this point, I don't know what else to tell you. Luke 18-2-777 says this is number 1. 2011 was my number 2 season. My number 2 season would probably be 2014, where we went 11-5.
Right.
Braylon Dennis says this is number 1 for me, born in 98. Tafka Day says, true, there weren't any egregiously bad calls. He's referring to the ref, like the false start against Decker last week. So good on the refs for a change. Well, that's what happens. When you get into the playoffs, you start having really good crews, because these are the crews that make it to the playoffs. Not like Brad Allen's crew.
Oh, man.
Patty Grimes says Lions beating Dallas 1991, number 1. I mean, beating Dallas in the 90s was pretty impressive, but you have to understand something. That wasn't the Dallas team of the 90s just yet. Yeah, they had Troy Aikman, but remember, who'd they start at quarterback in 91? They didn't start Troy Aikman.
No, they didn't.
They started, what the hell was his name? Trying to remember it. He was another big-time he was a somewhat big-time quarterback that the Cowboys had as their backup, and they started the game for, I think, it wasn't Grebeck, was it? Elvis Grebeck? No. I'd have to go back and check it out, but I know that the Cowboys that we knew in the 90s were not there just yet. They had another year or two before they got there. So I would say 91, number 3, 2023, number 1, and then the last championship season that we had is number 2, and then the last championship season we had is number 1. Just call me Luke, by the way. Fair enough. Luke, I am your father. Patty Grimes says number 2, beating the Rams. This win against the Bucs, number 3. Oh, you're talking about actual games. Edge Truth says, was professional football on TV in 1957? It was, but it was more likely on radio.
You know what? I seen the 57 game on YouTube. Is on there.
Yeah, but again, it wasn't most likely nationally broadcast like it is now. Television was still kind of a new invention in the 1950s.
Right.
The middle class definitely had it, but I don't think that the football league back then, I don't think they had quite figured out the television right nonsense that they figured out in the 60s and 70s when the Super Bowl became a thing. It wasn't quite there yet. Braylon Dennis says, a gun guy, sorry, I meant to delete my comment. Okay. Burline, thank you. Steve Burline, that was his name. Burline was an okay quarterback. Jim Casper says, David, take care of yourself. We need to. Okay. Luke says 2011 was more fun to watch than 14 because we lit up the scoreboard. We had a lot of low-scoring offenses in 2014, but a great defense that made up for it. I just remember 11 as Megatron's year. 2011 was Megatron's year. There's no doubt about that one. King SJ says, let's go Lions, NFC Finals. Anthony P says, I'm 43. This is the number 1 season I've watched. Mm-hmm. Byron Thomas says, this game made me cry. I was 1 when we won their first playoff game in 1991. Damn. Burns says, I forgot the game was on. Did we win? Just joking. Go Lions. Bo Booth says, I have the Niners in my sight.
We all do.
Well, notice his picture. He's looking down the sights of a gun.
Yeah, I see it.
Keith Hewitt says 63. I watched the Skins beat us 41-10. I think the last NFC championship, and they went on to beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. Yes, you are correct. That was the year I think that they had Mark Rippon as their quarterback. It was in 91. Gun Guy says Lions by 1 million. Well, I don't think the score's ever gone that high, but it would be interesting if it did. All right, let's move on to our next topic here. So, Chemical, you're going to be up first here. So, here we go. Last game, Jared Goff was chanted before and after the game, and the same happened this game. Has he been established as the franchise quarterback, in your opinion? What do you got?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, let me ask you this question. Do you think that he should be not only the long-term quarterback, but he should be the undisputed franchise quarterback? Let me put it in that thing, because I know there's still people out there that are like, oh, well, Goff's good, but we're still waiting for Hendon Hooker.
I say absolutely so. And to wait for Hendon Hooker, you're going to be waiting.
Well,
what they say, if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
I was about to say, if the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't rework
Right.
the wheel.
Right.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What do you say, Jay? Do you think that Jared Goff is the long-term undisputed franchise quarterback, in your opinion?
Hell yeah. I think he retires here in Detroit. He's not going nowhere else.
All right. Here's what I'm going to say. I mean, I fully expect, well, not fully expect, I also know that the Lions are going to get Jared Goff a contract extension this year. I can see that happening already. I've said it multiple times, but it's like, listen, for those that are still waiting for Hendon Hooker to come along, you got to think about it, folks. It's like, listen, the biggest problem with Hooker is the age factor. Let's just say, hypothetically, the Lions signed Goff to a 5-year contract worth $200-something million. Well, here's the thing. Unless you put in a whole bunch of little escape clauses, you're going to have to backload that contract, which then means that you can't just get rid of Goff in the last year of the contract. Well, okay, let's think about it. Goff right now is 29 years old. Around middle to end of next year, he'll be 30. So if you sign Goff to a 5-year contract extension on top of the 1 year he already has left on his old contract, he's not leaving until he's 35 years old. Wait a minute here. How old's Hendon Hooker? 26. He'd be 30, 31 years old by the time he'd first get any starting reps. That's way too late for a quarterback to start playing as a starter. It's way too late.
He's going to be an old man in the NFL.
Well, that's why, to me, it's always been like, listen, what did Brad Holmes say in the offseason prior to this draft? We are going to address the backup quarterback position. Hendon Hooker was never drafted, in my opinion, to take over for Goff. I think he was drafted to become an overall long-term backup solution for security. Now, if Goff should slip in his play, which I highly doubt, okay, fine, you've got an option there. But I don't think the plan was ever for Hooker to push for Goff as a starter.
I agree.
All right. Let's see what some comments here have. Bo Booth says, I was picking sand out of my teeth last time we won a playoff game. I didn't even have teeth. I wasn't even conceived. Sherry says that Niners and Packers game was brutal. Lots of skirmishes. Hey, you know what? The Packers can be as unclassy as they want. Bo Booth says Goff is the man. Raymond says, I was born in Detroit in 57, but I remember very well when I thought the Lions were going to the Super Bowl in 91. They went into RFK and got smeared. Hey, you know what? Nobody thought we were going to win a playoff game this year. Nobody thought we were going to win 2 playoff games this year. Nobody thought we were going to the championship game. I'm just going to be like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to sit and wait. I'm just going to watch and see what happens. Dean DeGreer says Goff better. Keith Hewitt says Joe Riggins was their running back. Luke says Goff should be deeply rooted in Detroit. Plant him deep and nurture it. I agree. I'm going to tell you this right now. At this point, Goff should get his own statue next to Barry Sanders for what he's done this year, at least. That's just my personal opinion. Roger I. Crosby says, as a Vikings fan, I'm really happy for all the diehard Lions fans who've stuck with their team through all the years. That means a lot coming from a Vikings fan, because I know a lot of Bears and Packers fan ain't going to say that. Bo Booth says, fans always love the backup QB. Yes, they do. At least the crazy ones. Chuck says, the 91 game, I was in Kirkland, Washington, bowling, I believe, and I was watching the game on TV. Edge True says Barry Sanders' 40-yard dash was a 4.37. Gibbs' 40-yard dash is a 4.36. Gun Guy says that Goff was better than Stafford ever was. Byron Thomas says they're talking about extending Goff. Yes, they are. Grand Theme says that Hooker is an old rookie. He's an extremely old rookie. Luke says Hooker was meant to be the steadfast backup. He wasn't meant to follow up on Goff. Facts. Chuck Osborne says, yes, Goff's the QB of the franchise. Gun Guy says Hooker has a bum knee. Well, he had a bum knee. It's at least fully healed now. LDV Tennis says the Lions are extending Goff. Yes, they are. Bobu says, David, I was back with you in the day when pundits called Goff a bridge QB. Long-ass bridge now. Facts. Luke says, think of when we got Hooker. We were looking to deepen the QB room. Exactly true. That's exactly what Brad Holmes has said. And think about it, folks. I have said this more times than I care to enumerate. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are by far the most transparent duo when it comes to GM and head coach in the NFL. When they say something, that's what they're going to do. And when Brad Holmes said we are looking to upgrade the backup quarterback, and I was like, listen, that's it. That's it for me. They're not trying to upgrade their starting quarterback. They're trying to upgrade their backup quarterback. LW Tennis says Holmes will trade Hooker for draft picks. I don't know about that one. That's a bit of a stretch for me. I think he likes what he's got in Hooker as a developmental project, but I don't think he's going to trade him. That's just my personal opinion. Raymond Peterson says Hooker is still young. I want to see Hendon. You are obviously in love with Goff. It's obvious. Dude, Hooker is not young. Hooker might be young in most people's opinion, but in NFL, you're a 26-year-old rookie? 26-year-old and you're a rookie, that is not young. That's old. Most rookies start when they're 21, 22 years old, not when they're 26. There's 4 or 5 years of development that's missing there. It's not that I don't want to see Hendon Hooker play. I'd like to see what we have in a backup quarterback, but it's like, listen, you can't start a guy that's 26, 27 years old over a guy that's in his prime that gets you to the championship game. You just can't do it. It makes no damn sense.
Not at all.
And this is the perfect answer here. Burns says Hooker is the long-term backup or trade value, not starter. Them be the facts. Drunion says, I be knowing what this leads to. Well, there you go. LW Tennis says Hooker does not win this. Hooker doesn't win nearly any of the games we've played this year.
We don't even get into the playoffs with Hooker.
No. Anthony Atkinson, oh my Lord, my high school, one of my high school football buddies. He says, Dave, it's AA. Does this Lions set a new standard of Lions football, or is it a one and done deal? Listen, man, first and foremost, nice catching up with you. I was wondering if somebody was ever going to catch into my live streams from back when I was at high school, but I don't think this is a one and done deal for the Lions. I just don't. I don't see Dan Campbell having it that way. I don't see Goff having it that way. I don't see the Lions in general having it that way. This is a team that is built on always getting better. And when a team does this good and you've got near $80 million in cap space for next season, there's no way it's going to be a one and done year. Not unless some serious players get injured. Luke says, we aren't a team that gets smeared. We get the real definition of grit. We will go out clawing and biting whatever we can get our claws on, but we're not going to go out unless we're the last one standing. Brian Taylor says, Sheila Hamp is the best ever Lions owner. That one I will agree with, except maybe the owner of the Lions during the championship years. I can't remember who that was. Bobu says, a good backup QB is nice to have. This is true. Gun Guy says, Sewell was 19. If he was 19, he was an old 19 because I think he turned 20 almost as soon as the season started. Edge Truth says, I'm 68 and can play in the NFL for one play. Just like Burt Reynolds in the movie of The Longest Yard. You got one play out of him. That's it. Mike A says, franchise Goff and sign St. Brown to a long-term deal and see what Hooker can do before signing Goff to a long-term. Bad idea. Bad idea. First and foremost, if you sign Jared Goff to a franchise tag, that right there is a $40 million chunk of change plus that you're going to be putting in for 1 year. That's a lot of money to put on a 1-year deal. It makes more sense because Goff now has done this for 2 years. 2 straight years, he's put up 4,000 plus yards. 2 years, he's put up 25 plus touchdowns. In 2 years, he has played like a top 10 QB. I don't know how much longer you want to put signing off him for as long as you are because the price is just going to keep going up. And coming into the show is DC. How's it going, DC?
Awesome. We fucking won. We're kicking ass. I'm giving high fives to everyone in downtown Baltimore.
I'm sure Baltimore right now is probably enjoying the fact of a 49ers versus Lions championship game.
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, we're going to kick the fuck out of the 69ers. I mean, Jesus Christ, they can't fuck with us. I mean, we've shut down everyone. I mean,
The 69ers.
Derek fucking Barnes, of all people, comes up with a game-winning interception. Fuck yeah. We're going to outmuscle all of you.
Yep. So I was just asking this question to everybody, DC, before we were going to end this. Here was the question, just so that way you can get it. Last game, Jared Goff was chanted. His name was chanted before and after the game. And the same thing happened this game. Has Jared Goff been established as the long-term franchise quarterback here in Detroit, in your opinion?
Well, go ahead and put his name in the fucking Raptors and on the Ring of Honor. I mean, that's all I got to say.
Fair enough.
I mean, really, what Lions quarterback since Bobby Lane has done what Jared Goff has done?
None of them. Not a single one.
Exactly. I mean, I love Eric Kibble. Scott Mitchell was a badass. Rodney Peete was awesome. I mean, who else has done it?
Nobody. That's the thing.
Exactly.
We haven't had, I was literally telling everybody this prior to with the other comment, that we have not had 2 straight playoff wins since 1957. That was the last time that happened. And that was our last championship season. 57. Not 91, 57.
Long time ago.
Exactly.
If I ever meet Derek Barnes, he will never have pay for a drink when I'm in the same bar as Derek Barnes. I mean,
you do that, Derek Barnes might not be able to walk out of the bar.
Whoa. You hang out with me, everyone walks out of a bar with me. Well, they fall out of a bar with me, but everyone walks out of a bar with me.
All right, let's take a look at some of these comments here after DC came in. Braylon Dennis says, extend Goff, period. Screw Hooker. LDV Tennis says,
Who gave her this cup?
LDV Tennis says they're not going to tag Goff. Holmes is about respect, facts. Keitho says, how about CJ's interception and tosses Mayfield the ball back? That was freaking great. Re-sign CJ and bye-bye Walker. I'm going to have to see that on the game replay because I don't remember that happening. But if I find it, dude, that's a power move from hell.
Dude, I would love that if the salary cap worked because letting DJ go is so easy on the cap versus letting Walker go. But by God, if they give us a 50 million bonus on the salary cap, fuck yeah, Walker's gone and it's all DJ.
Well, you have to think about it this way, DC. The Lions are going to have around $80 million in cap space next year. And you can manipulate the cap to do just about damn near anything you want to. And the Lions have got an excellent front office that knows how to manage contracts. So for me, it's like, listen, if you can sign all the guys that are going to be your big ticket items, like your Jared Goffs, Jonah Jacksons, your Amon-Ra St. Browns, Penei Sewells, if you can get them under contract long-term and you're not like eating up most of your cap space, I can't see how it's not feasible.
But Walker, they've already signed Walker to a very big contract, and Tracy Walker's a badass. But
they actually signed Walker to a 3-year deal 2 years ago. He's only got 1 year left.
Yeah. Oh, he only has 1 year left. Oh, I thought he had
No, they signed him to a contract, I think, just before the 2021 season. They extended him to a 3-year deal. And then in 2021, he got injured, which was when Kirby Joseph came on the scene.
Yep. In any brilliant fantasy John Madden football way list, I would choose DJ and Kirby Joseph over Tracy Walker. I'm just not sure how all the math will work out with the contract and the dead cap. And the dead cap.
We'll talk about that.
That's the only thing I'm being worried about. But,
we'll talk about that later because there's a big piece of news that came out today that's really, really going to play into that one. But we'll get to that in a moment here. So let's get to this next topic here. DC, you just got in here, so we're going to have you answer this question first. So here it is. Lions sacked Baker 4 times today, all from different players. How important was it for the Lions to get pressure and sacks from multiple avenues? Because you got to remember, Iffy Melifonwu got a sack. Brian Branch got a sack. Hutchinson got a sack. And so did Jalen Reeves-Maybin. All 4 of them got sacks.
Spreading the wealth.
Not enough. I mean, keep sending the blitzes. Keep sending them because defensive linemen can only do so much. I play D-line. You can only block. You can only take so many blockers on the same time. You need to have blitzes. You need to have blitzes free up your D-line so they can do a goddamn job. And, you know, it's Aaron Glenn's motive to just let your cornerbacks cover and hope for the best. But the more you send blitzes, the more you confuse the offensive line, the more you misdirect them, the more you let us defensive linemen do our goddamn job and beat at least 2 people. Hutch is getting held on every fucking play. You let defensive line do their goddamn job, we'll destroy them. But you need to send blitzers. You need to disguise your coverage.
All right, fair enough. I get exactly what you're saying, DC. What do you think, Chemical? I know you said spreading the wealth, but what else do you think on the matter?
I like the way they did that. It was evenly distributed, and so even if they was, as a matter of fact, they spoke about Lee McNeil was getting doubled, right? So he didn't get a chance to get his sack in because normally he gets in on the sack too. You still had other people that was getting sack outside. It was evenly distributed amongst just different players. I like the way they did that. That was like the best part of the defense I've seen today.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts on the Lions getting sacks from multiple avenues today? What are your thoughts?
I love it. It's making AG look really good for a head coach to get the fuck out of Detroit and never to come back.
That's that right there is his Christmas wish. AG gone. Top of his Christmas list for Santa Claus.
I've already prayed to the football gods and everything. They didn't give my MGM bet, so I said, football gods, please give AG a head coaching job. I pray every night to those football gods. Please give AG a head coaching job anywhere. I don't care. Pee-wee, flag, women's. I don't care. Give him a head coaching job somewhere that's not in Detroit.
All right, fair enough. So here's what I'm going to say. The fact that Aaron Glenn was able to get sacks and pressure from multiple different perspectives, that right there tells me that to at least a certain degree, Aaron Glenn made adjustments to bring that pressure from multiple areas. Because it's like, listen, it came from the slot corner position, it came from inside, it came from the linebackers. He was getting pressure on Baker Mayfield in multiple different ways. So that, to me, shows at least a change. Now, I will say this. One of the areas that was slightly concerning to me is that when we did sometimes blitz from those cornerback positions or from the slot, that it also caused a backfire situation where we were getting burnt. Because a lot of those times when Baker Mayfield's getting those chunk plays deep, we were giving up like freaking 19, 20, 25 yards because, by the way, our defense had nobody in the secondary that was covering worth a damn. And coming to the stage, we have Chris, who says, Chris, we are champions, my friends. Smith. How's it going, Chris?
All right. That was from the late, great Queen. We are the champions.
My friend. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Know what I'm saying? Man,
Always
I had to
good.
deal with a lot of family. My bad for being late, man. It was so emotional, man. And I know, man,
Hey,
Bill Farr looking down on us. Man.
I understand it. But I'm gonna get to some of these comments here, and then we'll start with you on the next topic, Chris.
Okay.
So let's see here. Alan McMillan says Goff has earned his extension, period. Luke says we've been shutting down the run all year. 49ers offense has been contingent on McCaffrey's successes. If we can make them one-dimensional, then we will win. Denver Pennyman, pardon me, says that Walker is done. He's talking about Tracy Walker. Bo Booth says, doesn't matter who wins in the NFC. We win the NFC and we play in the Super Bowl. Keitho says, if Deebo Samuel don't play, that's huge for us. That's a huge if because I don't see any possibility that Deebo doesn't play. It's the championship game. Like, unless your arm can't move, you're playing.
Oh, yeah.
Chuck Osborne says, extend Goff, please. Put more wins on this for this team. He's put more wins for this team in the last 2 years. LEV Tennis says that McCaffrey is playing with a quad injury. Anthony Atkinson says, every time we send the backs tonight, we got burnt, which that is true to a certain degree. Darth Twerk says Hutchinson would have had 2 sacks if we'd have challenged the first call. Aaron E says, go Lions roar. LDB Tennis says Goff's favorite QB was Romo. Actually, his favorite QB was Joe Montana.
Joe Montana, right.
That's why he wears 16.
That's about to say. That's why Goff wears number 16, because his favorite quarterback was Montana. But I do agree Goff's better than Romo, because Romo never got to a championship game. Gregory Wentworth says, Gregory Wentworth, call JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. Gregory Wentworth says a Lions-Bills Super Bowl would be absolutely epic.
Oh, yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Denver Perryman says he's earned it. He's referring to Goff. I just hope we don't cripple the franchise by signing him to $50 million per. That's not going to happen. That's probably one of the biggest fallacies that most people have when it comes to contracts, is that the first thing they do is they say, oh, the quarterback just got signed to a $200 million, 4-year contract. It's $50 million per year. No, it's not. It's usually spread out to have it to be more backloaded than front-loaded. And usually the way they kind of compensate by that is to pay out the signing bonus from the salary. So that way it doesn't affect the salary cap. LD Tennis says Goff will take a team-friendly deal. Bo Boo says Houston will make an impact in San Fran. He's talking about specifically James Houston. Blitz have been used well on this defense, but having the problem, we don't need to blitz on long yardage situations. Keith Hewitt says, after this week, if you don't love Goff, you have no heart. That gets a star for me. Perfect response there.
Yep.
LDV Tennis says Montana was not playing when Goff was in high school. Just because he wasn't playing doesn't mean that Goff couldn't have seen him when he was in middle school or elementary. Right. I remember who my favorite quarterback was when I was in middle school and elementary. It was Peyton Manning.
All right.
LDV Tennis says Romo was the QB Goff watched when in high school. Okay, he watched him. Doesn't necessarily mean it was his favorite. Goff has said multiple times the quarterback that he loved to watch, that was the biggest fan of, was Joe Montana. That's why he wears number 16. Otherwise, he'd wear number 9 like Romo did.
Right.
There's a lot of kids that love Michael Jordan but never saw him play.
I never saw the man play.
I'm just saying.
I mean, I was alive when he played with the who was the team he played for after the Bulls? I'm sorry.
The Bulls. He went to the Washington Wizards.
Thank you, the Wizards. I was trying to remember that team. I remember he was still in the league in the early 2000s, and I could have watched him with the Wizards, but I didn't watch him then, and I didn't watch him with the Bulls. The only time I've ever seen him play was in highlight clips.
Mm-hmm.
Gun Guy says, I put money on the Lions-Bills Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. Aaron E. says, Frank Ragnow is a beast. Chuck Osborne says, Ashley, Dave, when the last touchdown, my wife was holding a cup of coffee. She was so awesome, all excited about the touchdown. She spilled her coffee all over herself.
Yep.
Gun Guy says, Goff said Manning was also a favorite. Patty Grimes says Goff is a top 5 QB. Now, I've been saying he's a top 5, top 10 QB for the last 2-3 years.
Me too. Yep.
LDB Tennis says Dave on his radio interview, Goff mentioned Romo. Okay, he might have mentioned Romo, but he's also mentioned Montana. He's mentioned Montana as his favorite quarterback. He might have watched Romo a lot in high school. I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm just simply saying Goff has said his favorite quarterback growing up to watch was Joe Montana. He might have watched Romo quite a bit. That doesn't change the fact that Montana was his favorite.
Yep.
The 5-time Super Bowl champ 49er says, this is going to be a great game, guys. Very physical. I'm happy we're playing you guys. Bang, bang, 49er gang. Well, we'll see what happens in a week, my friend. 6:30 Sunday. All right. Let's get into the next topic. So, Chris, you're going to be first for this one. Jared Goff has played absolutely lights out in the Lions playoff run this year. His leadership has been on full display, and he has played like a top quarterback. Has Goff officially, once and for all, silenced all of his critics?
Well, I'll give a big amen to that one, and I'll approve this message because Goff shut everybody up. Even with going to San Francisco, he shut everybody up. Win, lose, or draw, he shut everybody up. But I want him to advance to that Super Bowl.
I mean, I'm going to tell you this right now. Just think about this. I just thought about this. You know how people have said that no quarterback that ever started their career early and went to a Super Bowl ever went back? Goff would be the first one to break that one as well. If Goff could go back to the Super Bowl for a second time and with the Detroit Lions, dude, I think at that point, even if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he goes into the Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, listen, he'd be the first quarterback to take the Detroit Lions, to a Super Bowl. Come on now, even if you don't win.
Yep.
But whatever. DC, what do you got to say on this? Do you think Goff has officially silenced the critics?
What was that, bud?
I said, do you think that Jared Goff has officially silenced his critics after the way he's played in the playoffs this year?
Fuck no. He has. He's silenced his critics on day one, but those assholes still want to get their name in. They want to get their recognition. They want to piss everyone off. Their critics are fucking assholes and morons. But yeah, I mean, basically the only thing that we've done is say, hey, you golf critics are full of shit. I mean, golf critics have no credibility whatsoever.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? What are your thoughts on this topic?
For the most part, yeah. But then I also agree with DC because the haters still gonna hate either way it go.
That is true. Again, like you said, haters gonna hate.
Mm-hmm.
They will. Again, the true haters, the Easies, the Spencers, the Chris Sims and the Dan Orlowskis, they'll never give Jared Goff his full credit. They never will.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just them being stupid, in my opinion. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, what do you think?
Unfortunately, no, because Goff's haters and all them other people, they're like cockroaches. They hide in the dark, and you turn on the light, they run, they scatter. Right now, the light is shining, so they're just waiting for it to become dark again. They're waiting for it to make one little mistake, fumble a ball, throw it out. Like if Dean would have caught that INT, they would have been all over him. Oh, get rid of him. Put in Hooker. Put in Bridgewater. He's a bum. All that kind of crap.
Right.
I mean, you're not wrong, and that kind of sucks. What's up, DC?
Hey, Dave, I'm at a bar, and my friend says he has never seen a real golf hater.
Wow.
Never a golf hater. And I'm like, oh,
if you've never seen one, you ain't looked very hard.
Right.
They are all over the internet.
Hey, I got something to add before you say something, Dave. What can you hear loud and clear in the fourth quarter? Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
That is true. Heard that all over the place. And it doesn't surprise me, to be honest, because it's like, listen here. Like DC said, who was the last quarterback that won multiple playoff games for the Detroit Lions? He's dead.
Yep.
Name the last quarterback that won a division crown for the Detroit Lions. He's in his
The one who
50s or
curses.
60s.
I know.
Yep.
No.
Joey Harrington.
Joey Harrington.
The
I wish.
world's greatest Detroit Lions quarterback.
Maybe the greatest Detroit Lions quarterback that can play a piano.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to admit this right now, and this might make some people be like, whatever. I liked Joey Harrington when I was growing up. I thought he got a raw deal here in Detroit because of Matt Millen. But that was just my personal opinion. I was also like 12, 11 years old at the time.
I honestly was a Drew Stanton fan over a Joey Harrington fan, but that's just me, myself.
Yeah, well, either way, let's take a look at some of these comments here really quickly. Good Lord. Denver Pennyman says, Gardner and Debo, this should be epic. Oh, those two are trash talkers from hell. There will be bulletin board material for the whole week. LDV Tennis says, no, the golf trolls are relentless. They will be back. Michael Fitzpatrick says, 23-13 over the last 2 years. Life is good. Let's finish out 25-13. I endorse this message.
Yes, sir.
Five-time Super Bowl champion 49ers says, yeah, I have nothing but respect for the Lions. I've got nothing but respect for the 49ers because let's think about it.
Right.
You name me a couple of more franchises that have been more successful than the 49ers as far as their entire history. I mean, the Packers don't like them, but they've got the championships. They've got them. You take a look at the Steelers. They've got them. It's like the 49ers are up there with very few franchises that have won as much as those franchises. So it's like, listen, I give nothing but praise to the 49ers for what they've done. Yeah. They took their lumps in the late 2010s after Harbaugh left, but they made it work.
Right.
And coming to the stage is Coach AD. How's it going?
What up,
What's
Coach?
up, fellas? We're on our way to Cali.
Yep.
Going back to Cali.
Yep,
going
Jared
back
Goff's
to
going
Cali.
back.
Oh, yeah. That's
Goff's
our
going back to Cali. St. Brown's going back to Cali.
Yes.
A lot of players from Cali are going back there.
Oh, yeah, man. It's good. It's a good time, man. Good day. Good day.
Absolutely.
Good time, man.
So, Coach, when we get to the next topic, it'll be yours first and foremost. Let's get through some of these comments real quick. Bo Booth says that Goff haters are going to hate no matter how good he does. Some people are not going to accept him, and they'd be idiots.
Yeah.
5-time Super Bowl champ. I'm just going to say 5-time Super Bowl champs and just leave it at that. He says, feel you on the Goff hate. We get the same hate with Purdy. I know Purdy gets a lot of hate because people just are like, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He shouldn't do this well.
Was he like a 7th round or a 6th round or something like that?
No,
he was the last pick.
Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick in the NFL draft.
Oh, so he's another Brady, basically.
Oh, well, he's worse than Brady.
He's
Brady
worse
got
than
drafted
Brady.
in the 6th. Brady got drafted in the 6th round.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy got drafted pick 262.
He's the last dude.
Exactly. He was the last player drafted. That's why they call that pick Mr. Irrelevant, because it's just like, hey, you're just throwing a pick out there. You don't care what they do.
Somebody admitted they was wrong.
Yep. Grant Kennedy says, okay, Dave, I'm officially wrong about Goff. You were right. Dun, dun, dun.
All right.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself. Okay.
You definitely should be the advocate for Jared Goff because you've been advocating for him for 3 years.
I'm going to be honest with you. Dave is the reason why I even started paying attention to Jared Goff. I already knew he was a good quarterback, but when it came down to
stats, me too.
When I started listening to David, it was like it changed my whole perspective on golf. So I started.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Me too. Because at first I wasn't feeling him.
Seyful says, no guarantee the guys on the Lions Talk Live will bash him. One, Funky, Dr. Detroit, and Don Burr, they bash him every day. Dr. Detroit is a moron. Don Burr is a bigger moron. And Funky, I have no correlation with, so I can't speak about him. But I've dealt with Dr. Detroit and I've dealt with Don Burr. Those guys are morons, and I don't really care. Grant Kennedy says, never hated him, just wanted to see Hooker, but obviously I was wrong to call him goof. There were a lot of people that were wrong to call him goof because last time I checked, he doesn't go, LDV says, Orlowski is a Goff troll. He put Mayfield above Goff in his rankings of playoff QBs. Oh, yeah, I've got the picture saved on my phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also remember when he was part of the panel that said the Rams were going to win.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I don't listen to Dan Orlowski. He was trash. Like, he has no credibility. His claim to fame is running out the back of the end zone. So why should we listen to him?
No, actually, he's a very good play caller. He just couldn't execute on the field.
Well, I'll just say this. The only thing Dan Orlowski has of credit to his name is, one, he has a cushy job with ESPN. 2, he ran out of the back of the end zone against Jared Allen and the Vikings. And 3, he did pretty well in his marriage and finding a good wife. That's about it. I'm just going to say this. Bo Booth says, Joey Blue Sky, he was misused. Yes, he was misused. And again, a great piano player. LDV says, can't wait till ESPN fires Orlowski.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Seyful says, I believe Harrington just stuck up for Goff recently. Dude, I'm going to tell you this right now. Any quarterback that went through the Matt Millen era, I would listen to them when it comes to how bad things could get. And none probably has it worse than probably Joey Harrington. That man got nothing but absolute crap the entire time he was in Detroit.
Yeah, he took up for Goff in an interview I heard sometime last week. And he's talking about how well he's playing and how well the Lions are executing, how well Dan Campbell is coaching his team, and how well Brad Holmes put together the team. You know, I heard nothing but praises all across the board.
Mm-hmm. Thomas Valdez says, the war of the roar. Come and get you some. Congratulations to all the true Detroit Lions fans. Just like Dan Campbell said, for all the true fans, this is for you. You deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Keitho predicts that Goff will have a huge game against the Niners. Mr. Taz and Jr. says, we're going to the ship, baby. This will be one hell of a game next week. Can't wait. LDV Tennis says, Shanahan created the formula that is winning in L.A., Miami, Minnesota, Cincy, and Green Bay. McVay owes Shanahan royalties for stealing Shanahan's offense. I mean, you're not wrong.
Well,
Gun Guy says, a lot of Goff haters shut the fuck up tonight. LDV Tennis says that Dak is a choker. Well, think about this. Dak is 2-5 in the playoffs and has never gotten past the divisional round. Goff has been to the championship game now twice, once with the Detroit Lions, whereas Dak has never even gotten to the championship game with the most valuable franchise in the NFL. So what does that all say about Dak?
Dak is overrated. I've been saying that. There's no excuse. He's been in Dallas. He's had weapons since he's been there. The ceiling with Dak is the ceiling. Whenever you see Dak play a great game, that's it. That's the ceiling with Dak.
I've heard it. I will say this. I don't listen to the national pundits a lot, but there's one pundit and a couple of things that pundits have said that is absolutely true about them. I've heard Skip Bayless say it. I've heard Colin Cowherd say it, and I've heard some people at ESPN say it. Dak Prescott is just a richer man's version of Kirk Cousins. Great in the regular season, can put up all the numbers, can do all the great things in that regard, but he sucks when the big lights are on.
Yeah.
Yes,
Who's laughing now?
Rich Hustle says, didn't Joey Harrington play at Oregon? Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
He was pretty damn good at Oregon, too.
Yeah, he was. He was up for the Heisman.
At one point, yeah. I mean, Harrington had a lot of talent when he came out of college, and the Lions just squandered it.
Oh.
All right, let's move into this next topic here. So, Coach, you'll be up first here. Many players that weren't available last time were this time against the Bucs. Which player that didn't play last time was most instrumental, in your opinion, for getting the win over the Bucs? What do you got, Coach?
C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The spark plug. The spark plug. As bad as the corners are, if you watch the whole game where he was directing the linebackers, the secondary, he was directing everything on that back end. And just the energy, man. We just played with way more energy since he's been back.
All right, fair enough. What about you, Chris? Which player do you think was the most instrumental that we didn't have the last time against the Bucs? What do you got?
I'll approve coaches message.
So you think CJ?
Yes, sir.
All right, fair enough. Excuse me. What do you got, DC? I think he's busy. So, Chemical, what do you got?
I'll say CJ, DJ, and Gibbs.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? Who was most instrumental for you?
Gibbs is number one because they couldn't figure out how to cover him. And then another person probably is going to have to be CJ.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to say this. You guys definitely hit the two that I think that are really important. For me, I'm just gonna put it to one. I mean, as much as CJ getting that interception was crucial, I'm going to say it's probably Gibbs because it's like, listen, you go back to what Gibbs did in that game. Gibbs literally ran the ball for 71 yards and a touchdown, got the biggest rushing play for 31 yards. Then you go to the fact that when the linebackers kept dropping back 15 yards in coverage on play action, Goff would just dump it to him underneath and he'd pick up an easy first down each time. Having that speed and that satellite back in Gibbs really helped because at that point it then offered more options on the field. And one of the things we knew about the Bucs defense is that they couldn't cover the speed element. They couldn't cover the speed element with J-Mo last time. Now you had Gibbs on the field. It's like, okay, good luck covering both of them.
Yeah.
So I agree. CJ GJ was a big addition as well. But I mean, it's like, dude, you take Gibbs out of that game, it's a much different atmosphere.
Again, did David Montgomery get hurt? Because it's always gaps in the game where you don't see him again. You'll see him starting out, and then you won't see him again until it's time to close the game out.
I don't think he got hurt. I I think what the Lions are doing is they're trying to make sure they rotate the backs as much as they possibly can, because you got to think about it here. They probably have, because the way I've seen them do it is like they might have a drive or two where it's one running back. Then they have another drive or two or three where it's the other running back. And then they might bring in somebody else like Craig Reynolds for a play. But it's not like every other drive, one drive is going to be Gibbs, the next drive is going to be Montgomery. They kind of, I think the way the Lions do it is either they script it certain ways, or for certain plays and certain formations, they have one running back versus the other.
Yeah, because when I saw Craig Reynolds, I got nervous.
Well, at least he got the touchdown. That's all I care about.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Booth actually throws in Iffy. CJ had a big play, yes, but Iffy had a bigger effect. I mean, Iffy was available to play in that game, but you're right. He didn't really play all that much, if at all. So I will agree. Iffy had a big impact. El Grimm says Gibbs and Joey Harrington was one of the worst QBs the Lions ever drafted. I'm not going to agree with that, because it's like, listen, who the hell drafted him? Who the hell drafted him? Matt Millen. The only first-round draft pick he ever hit on was freaking Megatron. The guy never could say no to a wide receiver.
Matt Millen also had brought Dan Campbell over here too as a tight end.
He did. He signed him in free agency. But that's whatever it is. SW Lions 26 says, a couple of times Goff faked a handoff and then threw to Gibbs Montgomery in the middle of the field. Would like to see more of that. That would be a big difference, in my opinion. Bo Booth says the Gibbs was definitely the offensive difference if he was the defensive difference. LDB Tennis says the Lions go with the hot hand. Gibbs was playing well. That is true. All right, so let's move into the next topic here really quickly. So for this one, we're going to have Jay start us off here. So here you go, Jay. The Lions rookie class this year has performed beyond all expectations. Which rookie do you think has been the most impactful for the Lions all year? What do you got?
I'm going to have to go with Sam Laporta. I think he came pretty close to breaking a lot of records. I think he broke a lot for Detroit, but Sam Laporta, to me, has got to be the number one rookie that, met and exceeded all expectations.
All right, fair enough. So you say Laporta. What do you say, Chemical? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll say Laporta, Gibbs, Branch, and then Campbell. I say all four because they were impactful players to our team.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Coach? Who's the most impactful for you?
I agree with Chemical. My favorite is Branch. He brought the attitude we was missing. We had been missing. So Branch is my favorite out of the four.
All right. What do you think, Chris? Who's your most impactful rookie?
Well, I agree with Coach and Chemical, but my most impactful player is, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs, because he's a running back.
I was about to say, I knew that was going to be your answer. All right, fair enough. DC, are you there by chance? I'm going to say that's a no. He's probably enjoying talking to Ravens fans at the bars. So here's what I'm going to say. The most impactful rookie for the Lions this year, I think it's got to be Gibbs for one simple reason, because, Laporta has done an absolutely stupendous job. He's offered another weapon for Goff over the middle, who likes to exploit the middle of the field. He's a secure catch as a tight end. Does a really good job blocking as well as receiving, something the Lions haven't had in a long time, at least since the days of Charlie Sanders, in my opinion. But with Gibbs offers an electrifying weapon out of the backfield that can both run and catch. And it's like, listen, when you've got Montgomery, who's that power back that'll stick his nose right in the middle of the field, and then you have Gibbs, who can also do that a little bit. Because I'm going to say this, Gibbs did some really, really hard-nosed kind of running back duties today. Like, he came up in the middle on Barrett, and he provided a great block up the middle to give Goff some time. So Gibbs has a tough side element to him. And it's like, listen, I think Gibbs is going to be – he's going to be a running back that's got a great future for not only the Lions but in the NFL, because I think that he's got everything you're looking for. He does great in pass protection. He does great running the ball. He's got killer speed. He's got good hands. I just think Gibbs is probably the most impactful, because it's like, listen, there have been games where Gibbs was a big difference maker. Sam Laporta too, but it's like, listen, if I had to choose between the one or the other, I'd probably go Gibbs 1A and then Laporta 1B. That's just my personal opinion. Let's see what we got here for comments. SW Line 26 said, oh, we already said that. Grant Kennedy says, Frank Ragnow was MVP of this game. What a Viking. Been fighting through injuries for years, and this year even more. And that touchdown Craig Reynolds got, he pushed Vita Vea's fat ass back. I mean, he might be fat, but he's pretty thick too. Like, he is a big boy. He's kind of like Jason Kelce in that regard. Kennedy says that the big one for him is Laporta. LDV says it's a tie between Laporta and Gibbs. Osborne says Laporta and Gibbs. SW Line says Laporta first, then Gibbs is a close second. Seyfel says tie between Laporta and Gibbs. Grimes says Laporta. LDV Tennis says hit the like button. I do encourage that, and to subscribe, share, and donate if you feel the desire to. Mr. Tasman Jr. says Laporta's first and Gibbs offense, defense branch. He brings the pain. He does bring a lot of pain. I will admit that. He loves to hit. LDV Tennis says only 3 likes, but 94 people watching. Well, get what I can. Grant Kennedy says he has all year. Gibbs will block and run through a wall. SW Lions says, I'd love to see the Lions make the 49ers use McCaffrey as a block. Ooh, that would be interesting. LDV says, amazing to think how good the team is already, but how much better they will be when Holmes adds some more pieces in free agency and the draft. Dude, this free agency period that we got coming up is going to be really, really good. Bobu says, good take, David. I can't disagree with you. Gibbs affects the entire offense. Keith Hewitt says, I think Taylor Swift should dump that Chiefs tight end and date Sam, number 87. I think you might have a problem with that, because isn't Taylor Swift like in her early to mid 30s, and Laporta's like barely out of his 20s?
She's a cougar.
Yeah.
In that regard, yes.
Definitely.
LDV Tennis says, Sam looks like Buzz Lightyear. LDV says, Disney should cast Sam in the live-action version as Buzz Lightyear. Now, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. It's kind of like when people say if Jared Goff ever gets a movie like Kurt Warner did, you have to do Brian Gosling as his actor. That'd be an interesting thing. But Rich Hustle says, this is completely off topic, but I'm the only one who is tired of Kirby Joseph and all of his showboating. Like, it makes me sick. LOL.
What? Who the hell is this?
What did he
Who
do?
the hell is this?
Wow.
Oh boy, this is like triggering a landmine.
Yeah, get him out of here.
Right.
I'm just gonna say this. There's nothing wrong with showboating to a degree. Because to me, I'm going to say this. If you made a good play, then showboat all you want, but do so within the limits of the NFL's league rules, because like there's a difference between showboating and taunting. Now, you can showboat all day, but if you start taunting, that's a 15-yard penalty. So it's like you got to know that balance.
Yep.
Kirby Jones was a baller, so nah, man, let him do whatever the hell he want to, as long as he ain't costing us a game.
Right.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this, Rich. Yeah, it looks like you kind of did touch a nerve. I'm trying to be the mediator here, because it's like, listen, showboating's fine, but you need to know where the line is, because there's a very, very thick line in the sand. It's like, listen, don't cross it.
Kirby is one of our studs, man.
Kirby is a baller.
But hey, you know what? If you make the plays, again, I said this in my episode about CJ, GJ, and Baker Mayfield. It's like, listen, if you can walk the walk, then you can talk the talk, but you better be able to back it up on the field.
Back it up. Right.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
But all right, let's move into the next topic here. So, Chris, I'm going to try DC first, but DC, are you there?
Probably drinking.
Yep, probably.
Yeah,
Chris will be up first here. So here we go. Campbell said that the game plan was to put the ball in Goff's hands to throw the ball to win the game. The team and coaches trust Goff. Is it time that the doubters and critics do as well? Not necessarily that, they give him all praise or whatever, but it's like, listen, has Goff earned the trust that he can win here in Detroit? Has Goff earned the trust from even the doubters and the critics? You can trust someone without liking them.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Get that man his flowers. That's all I'm gonna say. Just put his face on the billboard like it is of Ford Field and leave the whole thing alone because he earned every bit of it. And I'm standing behind on all of it.
Stand
10
on it.
toes.
Stand on it.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Coach? What are your thoughts? Do you think that everybody should trust Jared Goff and stop worrying about him potentially, not winning games for us?
Man, in the words of T.O., that's our quarterback. At this point, it's our quarterback. Don't do that. It's our quarterback.
Dude, it's like, dude, you gotta find the right shades and shave the head and be like,
Yeah.
that's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback. At this point, hey, from Charlie Batch to all the scrubs we had to watch outside of Matthew Stafford, he has done he has exceeded what we asked him to do. So,
I mean,
at this
the
point,
way I look at it is this. I mean, you got to think about it, how Goff came here to Detroit. Everybody and their brother, save a couple of us, and you all know who I'm referring to outside of me, everybody and their brother, save a few, all said the same thing about Goff. He's a scrub. He's mediocre. He's a bridge quarterback. He's a placeholder. He's a salary cap dump. Just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, man, for a mediocre scrub quarterback, he's going to the championship football game. Wonder how that works.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But anyway,
Right,
it just got to
the
be the
math
right.
ain't
It just got to
mathing.
be the right fit. That's all. People, casuals don't understand that. It's all about the fit. And
it's
Jared
about the
Goff,
fit and it's about the scheme. It's about the
Yeah.
players. It's like,
So,
I'm going to say
mean-
this right now. You can say what you want about, I want a quarterback like Tom Brady who can make anything work. Okay, back up. Time out here. I want you to answer me this question. How many quarterbacks in the NFL have ever played that are like Tom Brady? How many? Last time I checked, there's only been one Tom Brady. One.
Right.
So you tell me how you're going to find another quarterback like Tom Brady. That's a 1 in a million. Let me ask you this question. Do you want to be searching for that 1 in a million rather than having a quarterback that can get you, that's proven that can get you to the championship game and proven that he can get you to a Super Bowl? What would you rather have? Would you rather have that 1 in a million you keep searching for forever and a day, or take the guy that you have right now that's gotten you to the promised land almost? Think about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Hey. That's why they call casuals, man. They don't know. They just spurt out anything that comes out. Anything that make it to the forehead, they just talk.
I've said it before. You want to know what I also call casual fans? Professional tape recorders, because whatever the analysts are saying on the television, they spit it right back out.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
But all right, what do you think, Chemical? Do you think that Goff's critics and doubters should trust him to be able to win games for us rather than lose them?
I'm gonna say it in the words of Dan Campbell last week after the win against the Rams, when he said, "You're good enough for Detroit, Jared Goff. You're good enough for Detroit."
I think Goff is more than good enough for Detroit.
Yeah, definitely.
More than good enough. But
He's
that's
exceeded
just
my
my personal opinion.
He's exceeded my expectations. I tell you that.
Well, again, that's one of the things about Goff when he first came here. Everyone looked at him as like a soft Southern California white boy. They didn't think he was going to be able to handle the grittiness of Detroit. And it's like, listen, that soft Southern California white boy came in with more grit than some quarterbacks have ever played in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
The only quarterback that I think is not as or just as gritty as him would be Stafford. Stafford never had to listen to all the crap that Goff has had to listen about him. His grittiness comes from the fact that dude played through pain. Broken vertebrae, broken fingers, separated ligaments, and he still played. Goff's grittiness is from the fact that, you think I'm trash? I'll show you on the field.
Iron Man.
Yep. Jay, what do you think? What are your thoughts on everything?
I think it's just easy to say the same thing that Dan and Brad both been saying. This is our quarterback. He will be our quarterback. He ain't going nowhere. They want to put the ball in his hands. They want to put the ball in the person's hands they trust. And then, like everybody else said, when they beat the Rams, Jared, you're good enough for Detroit.
Fair enough. And I've more than said what I was going to say on this topic throughout the entirety of this whole charade. Well, not charade, this whole escapade. So I'll save what I was going to finish off with because I pretty much already said it. But take a look at some of these comments here really quickly. Let's see here. Let's see here. LDV Tennis says MCDC doesn't listen to the golf trolls. Neither does Holmes.
No.
SW Lion says in 3 years, golf has led the Lions to more playoff wins and more wins in general than anyone else has in the last 30. Soda Pop says he's earned the fans' trusts. Bo Booth says trust in golf, trust in MCDC. Chuck says, yes, Dave, he earned the trust of the Detroit Lions team and fans. DeGreer says golf earned his trust last year. LDV says, I want to see MCDC to face off with Orlowski. Orlowski will not survive.
I like that one.
Orlowski would probably run and hide like a little girl.
Exactly.
SW Line says this is like a movie script. The way golf has overcome huge adversity to get the Lions to this point. Keith Hewitt says, don't forget Andre Ware. Oh, how could we forget about him?
Oh, yeah.
One of the worst draft picks the Lions have ever done. That man hardly did anything for us, and we wasted such a high-profile pick on him.
Yeah.
Mo Booth says, I never saw golf as a bridge. You would be one of the few, including myself. Grant Kennedy says, I never thought golf was a scrub, just always wanted a running QB in Ben Johnson's offense. This offense is predicated on a pocket passing quarterback, not a running quarterback, though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
LDV says Brady had Randy Moss. Goff has never had a receiver as good as Moss, with all due respect to St. Brown. Well, I'm going to say this. St. Brown might not be Moss's stature physically, but in terms of his game, it's getting there. Because think about it. Every single year that St. Brown has been in the league, his numbers have gotten better and better and better. And it's like, listen, St. Brown's only like 23 years old? And wide receivers, they can have long, prolific careers if they got a good quarterback. And the one thing Goff is very good about is not leading his receivers in dangerous spots.
AKA Stafford.
Well, yeah. Chuck says, Dave, I've always liked Goff when he was on the Rams. I rooted for him when he came to the Lions. I was glad to have him. Jeffrey says those clowns, the heavyweights, sure are singing a different tune now. Talk about bandwagon fans. Gee, I wonder who called them clowns. Who called them clowns? CJ did. I did. I mean, the truth is in the pudding. You wanted to bash Goff and the Lions when they were bad, but now all of a sudden, because they're good, we never doubted them. Yeah, bullshit.
Nah, that whole little squad is a joke. That whole Woodward Sports.
I will say this. Probably the one guy from Woodward Sports that I have no problem listening to is Neil Rule. Rule, I think, is okay.
Yeah, he about the only one. Because I can't stand Sam Flannel. He's stupid.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
Through the a-hole.
Yep. Bo Booth says, I've spent decades trying to forget about Andre Ware. Dude, there's a lot of quarterbacks from the Lions past I'd like to forget about.
Andre Ware's terrible on Tecmo Bowl.
All right. Let's move into the next topic here. Here we go. So the next topic here. So for this one, Jay will start us off first. Oh boy, this will be an interesting topic for him. Here we go, Jay. Says, despite the 2 turnovers and the 4 sacks, the Lions' defensive secondary still can't seem to find ways to consistently stop the passing game. And I know Coach AD knows all about this because he texted me throughout the game. The Lions have already gone further than most imagined to this point. But will their secondary be their Achilles heel going further into the postseason? What do you think?
Their Achilles heel will be AG, and it will always be AG until AG gets the fuck out of Detroit.
Well,
and I
love short and sweet. So, okay, there's Jay's point of view. What do you think, Chemical?
I think as long as they shore up and clean up the mistakes, we'll be all right. We can just about bang with anybody out there. They just got to clean the mistakes up, them small ones. Sutton, I think, was like somebody else said something about the toe injury, about him going down like a half a step or something like that, which I can agree with that.
All right, fair enough. All right, Coach, now's your chance. Let them have it.
We are 2 cornerbacks away from being a dominant defense. I mean, because we're paying a nickel corner outside corner money, but he's not an outside corner. Vildor is just a plug. So yes, they are the Achilles heel of the defense. If you watch game in and game out, whether they're in zone coverage or man coverage, they consistently get beat, and their technique is terrible. Half the time you watch Cam Sutton he's just running backwards. They'll break it off, run a comeback, break it off and run a curl. And it's always a crucial 3rd and long. So that's the frustrating part. It's like, dude, just get a stop, a crucial stop. And I'll blame AJ a little bit because all of it's not him. He's just a coach. He doesn't have to go out there and execute. We just got to get better corners, man. We don't have good corners. That's what it comes down to. It just, and I I was so desperate earlier. I was like, hey, man, maybe we need to put CJ at corner and let Effie and Branch play safety. I mean, we got the luxury to do that, and so we can bump Cam Sutton inside. I was like, well, we got to do something different because if not, we're gonna get killed by Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk's gonna have field day.
Well, I'm just going to say this. Everybody knows it to be true, and this is the bad part about Brad Holmes is Brad Holmes can say everything he wants to about, oh, well, we're going to look at certain players and we're going to take our time to do our draft research and all. Dude, it's written in the pudding. Like, there's no way in hell you can't go into that draft and not draft a cornerback high. You can't do it because here's the thing. I don't know how many top cornerbacks are going to hit the free agency market this year. You might get one. Okay, you're going to need more than one. You're going to need a lot more than one. So it's like, okay, now you got to go and you got to find a young guy in the draft because I'll say this right now. Maybe you could find another Sauce Gardner. Maybe you could find another Devin Witherspoon before he got injured. You could find guys like that in the draft. I trust Brad Holmes to find them because he's found them.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Chris? What are your thoughts on this, though? The face kind of tells it all.
Yep. I was about to say they either need to do some switching around or they should have did what I said even though they couldn't. You already know that I've been on it all year. If we would have had Devin Witherspoon, we would have been a lot better, but we couldn't get him. So let's go for a Devin Witherspoon this year because we need help on corner.
Well, I'm gonna correct you to one slight point, Chris. We could have had Devin Witherspoon if we wanted to trade up, but if we'd have traded up, there was no way in hell we were getting Laporta, and there was no way in hell we were getting Branch.
Right. So that's why I say wishful deep.
Yeah, but it would have cost way too much.
Right.
Because we would have to move up to that spot that the Seahawks had in order to get him, and I'm guaranteeing you, even if we had moved up one spot, the Seahawks were going to ask for a king's ransom.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll say this. It's like, Brad Holmes has literally hit virtually on every single draft pick that he's had. Take a look at it. I mean, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, Gibbs, Jack Campbell, all this year have played stellar. Last year, you have you have Hutchinson playing well. J-Mo's now starting to really connect with Goff, so that's really making waves. Same thing with Pascal's really starting to make waves. But then you go to the very first draft, St. Brown, freaking Panay Sewell. I mean, the list goes on and on with what freaking Holmes has been able to do in these draft classes. It's like, listen.
Even Derek
Barnes, again, a late bloomer, but still. It's like, listen, Iffy as well. So it's like, these guys are making plays.
Yep.
It's like, listen,
Kirby
I trust what Holmes has been able to put out there because it's like, listen, sometimes these guys aren't going to produce right away. Sometimes you got to wait a little bit, and that shouldn't be a problem. But not everybody's going to bloom as soon as they hit the field. It takes time for them sometimes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But all right, here, let's move into. Well, actually, let's take a look at some of these topics here. Let's see here. L. Grimes says, we literally have a guy off the couch playing cornerback. Our cornerbacks are the weakness, and you can only protect it with your safeties on the back end. LDV Tennis says cornerback and edge will be our top priorities. LDV says that Kansas City just fumbled the ball through the end zone.
They did. It was punched out, actually.
Interesting.
I'm up there watching it now.
Yeah, I'm not watching it. I don't care to watch it because the game I'll watch is the championship game. That's the game I'll watch.
This game is kind of like almost similar to what was going on earlier. It was going back and forth between like the Lions, the way the Lions and the Bucs were doing. It's doing the same thing.
Right.
Yep. Right now, Kansas City's up by 3, but that's about it. SW Lions says that's definitely a fumble. What a huge play for Buffalo. Chuck says, I'm worried about Aaron Glenn in the secondary. They have to stop the passing game for San Fran for the chance to get us a win. Cobb says linebacker as well. Thank you for the comment, Sue's News. I appreciate it. DeGreer says, I'm curious to see what the Lions will do with Emmanuel Mosley next year. They ain't going to bring him back. They can't bring him back. He was literally on the field for 3 plays before he tore his other ACL. At that point, you're not worth it.
Let him go retire.
Right.
SW Lion says they left White open on that TD. They need to knock McCaffrey on his ass if they use him to block when the Lions blitz. LEV Tennis says the Bears will probably draft Jalen's replacement. I think that's a cornerback. I'd have to recheck. Cobb says we can use an upgrade at linebacker. I don't really think so. I mean, Anzalone's played good this year. Campbell's played good. I mean, you still got Rodriguez and Barnes. Yep. He's an okay kind of fit every now and then. It's like you've actually got a pretty good linebacker room. LDB Tennis says Witherspoon, then we get no Gibbs.
Yep.
Let's see here. LDB Tennis says there will be a lot of good cornerbacks in free agency. We'll see if we can get any of them. Sue's News says, I think Goff was crushed by LA a few years ago. When he healed, he became super strong. SW Lion says, I like the Lions' depth at linebacker. That's one of their stronger positions outside of safety. Lots of Pyro jumps in for the first time and says, what's up, everyone? That was a crazy game. That it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that catches us up with the comments. So let's move into the next topic here. So I'm just going to let Chris go with this one. So here we go. Y'all knew what I was saying about James Houston. So here it goes. James Houston was supposed to play this week after 2 straight weeks of fully practicing and being activated off of IR. While the decision to not play him had no ill effect, now, though, with the 49ers next up, do you think Campbell has to play or must play Houston in this game? What do you think, Chris?
I think that he has to, because for the simple fact that window is still open and he definitely needs to be on the field so he won't be as a healthy scratch. Then James Houston is ready to go. They praised him at practice. Why not let that man get a piece of this championship road? So I'll say, yeah, and he will be a great factor as far as the pass rush against San Francisco.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Coach? Do you think that James Houston absolutely must play in this game against the 49ers? What do you think?
I think we need to throw the kitchen sink at the 49ers next Sunday. We don't have time to wait. If he can go, let him go, because if you watch today, Romeo Accord, he's a waste of damn time. I mean, he's just flopping all over the place. We need it. We need an efficient pass rush on the other side to help Hutch, man.
All right, fair enough. What do you think,
Yep.
Chemical? What are your thoughts?
It was like I was saying when we first started the show. I'm thinking that they were saving him the next week anyway.
Maybe.
Hopefully they approve me wrong and go ahead and start him. I think he's good enough to go ahead and start, and it probably be a game changer, because how can you plan for a guy you haven't seen all season? That's what I want to know.
Okay, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts?
I definitely think they need to play James Houston, because Aiden Hutchinson they were holding him on the in the game against who the fuck did we just play? The Buccaneers. Yeah, like they couldn't keep him contained. They need more defensive pressure. Like he's blitzing linebackers and safeties and stuff. But with James Houston, you won't have to worry about maybe blitzing linebackers and safeties as much. You could probably do other tricks and stuff. But James Houston needs to be on the field. And like Chemical said, they ain't seen him all year. They got no tape on him. They got to go back to last year to find tape on him.
Well, there is tape on him from this year, but that tape isn't from when we freaking played the Seahawks. So that tape's pretty much irrelevant.
That's him playing coverage linebacker tape. I'm talking about pass rusher tape.
All right, fair enough. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. The way I look at it is very simple, is that, listen, these playoff games are sudden death. It's one and done. It's not like the NBA where you get a best of 6 or 7. It's like, listen, out of all the players on this team that has the chance to play but has not had the chance to play, if you understand what I'm trying to say, Houston's the only one. He has been able to fully practice the last 2 weeks. He just got activated this week. It's like, listen, are you seriously going to rob him of the chance of actually being able to play in this game when he has a chance to make an impact? I understand Tracy Walker has been a healthy scratch, but it's like, listen, I can't endorse him playing when you've got Kirby, Brian Branch, C.D. Deuce, and Ife Melifonwu out there playing as well as they are. But name me an opposite edge rusher of Aiden Hutchinson that's playing so well that you can't put James Houston out there on the field. You can't. If Houston has the chance to play and we know what he can do, then by God, you play the man. He's been healthy the last 2 weeks, full participant in practice the last 2 weeks. So far, it hasn't come back to bite the Lions in the ass, but it's like, listen, you're about to go up against San Fran, and you're about to go up against a really, really good strong side left tackle in Trent Williams. You're going to need all the freaking help you can for that opposite end rushing element opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. So it's like you have to play him. You have to give some sort of other element on the backside to bring pressure on Brock Purdy. So for me, it's like, listen, it's like you've got to play him. You've literally said that, oh, well, he's been slow. No, he's not been slowly developing. Because it's like, listen, if Frank Ragnow can go out there with 4 fucking injuries and he can play through all that, please tell me how you justify not putting out James Houston.
Right.
So to me, there's no excuses. You have to play him this week. He's been a full participant in practice for the last 2 weeks. You can't tell me he's not physically able to play or perform.
Like, Coach,
Absolutely.
what's going on in your house? All right. Well, no, Scott and then we jumping in the camera.
Let's move into the next topic here because we've still got a few more to go here, and I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. So here's the next topic here. Chris, we'll start with you. Some people have called this a storybook season or a Cinderella season for the Lions. Do you think that's an accurate statement?
No.
Okay, let's ask the secondary question. Why?
The reason why is because, I mean, if you look at what was put into the defense and what was already in the offense, we was a threat since day one. So basically, in so many words, we're messing up their storyline. The only storyline that they had on us is to put Matthew Stafford against us to see who was going to be the better quarterback because it was going to bring in ratings. Other than that, we've been a threat since day one. And when you're a threat, that means that you're showing something. So that's true.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Coach? What are your thoughts on the Lions supposedly having a Cinderella season or a storybook season? What do you think?
No, because we just picked up what we left off.
All right.
We picked up what we left off from last year. So, hey, it is what it is at this point. They got to come see us now. Last year was a storybook season. This year we just we put the gloves back on and we've been whooping ass ever since.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? What are your thoughts on this whole talk of a storybook or Cinderella season?
It's not a storybook or a Cinderella season. What it is basically all the hard work and all the grit and all the everything put into this team and the pieces that's been added and the grind that they've been putting in, or the hours of long work and week in, week out, fighting on that field until they get that dub.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? What are your thoughts?
I don't think this was a Cinderella season because last year after we beat Aaron Rodgers for the second time and he did his little crybaby stuff, I think that, number one, solidified the fact him leaving Green Bay. And then once he left, the North was ours.
All right.
There's nobody else better than us.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Here's what I'm going to say. A storybook season or a Cinderella season only applies or works if nobody saw this coming. But let's think about this. Every flipping analyst prior to the season all said the same thing. The Lions are going to win the North. Done. The Lions are going to go to the playoffs. Done.
Yeah.
The Lions are probably going to win a playoff game. Done.
Yeah.
So you can't call it a Cinderella season when the expectation already coming out of the gate was to win the division and win a playoff game. You can't say that. Now, here's the thing. After you've won that, maybe you could make the argument that you're continuing on for that Cinderella effect, but that still doesn't make any sense because it's like, listen, if you probably talk to anybody in that Detroit Lions locker room or the organization, they're like, listen, just winning the division and just getting to the playoffs, that was our baseline. That was what we absolutely had to accomplish. Everything else is what we really want to do. We want to get to that conference championship game. We want to win that conference championship game. We want to get to that Super Bowl, win that Super Bowl. This is just them warming up. So for me, the people that want to say, "Oh, it's a storybook season, it's a Cinderella season, it's a go happy kind of season," it's like, listen, folks, I guarantee you this: if we had full insider access like we did last year, we would probably know that this is not just, oh, well, you know what, this is what they were expecting just to get to this point, and then everything else. No. They've been expecting this all the way through. Because again, remember what Jared Goff said at the very end of the game: This didn't happen by accident. We ain't here on accident.
Nope. Mm-hmm. See, dude said it though. He said they didn't bring me here to win no division title and just no playoff either. They get that Super Bowl.
Yep.
All right, let's move into our next topic here. So Jay will start us on this one. So talked about this a little bit, but we're going to talk about it from a different perspective here. So here's the topic. Ian Rappaport reported before the game that the Lions will engage in contract extension talks with Jared Goff in the offseason. He said that will happen. Even if you may not like the decision, do you trust Brad Holmes to make the right choice to give Goff that long-term contract extension? What do you think, Jay?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, Brad Holmes earned my 100% trust. Ever since he's gotten here, he's turned the city of Detroit around. So Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have my 100% trust. Even when Dan Campbell has them giant planet-sized balls and goes for it on 4th and 30 or does a fake punt or a fake field goal or whatever he wants to do, they got my 100% trust.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? What are your thoughts on this?
I think he made the right choice. As a matter of fact, Sheila and Chris Spielman and the people that she talked to get them here, that was the excellent choice. He was the right choice anyway because he knew what it took to be here. He was on that 0-16 team, so he knew what we fans wanted. He was here for the down times and the hard times, so he knew what it was going to take, and he put in the hard work, and we are seeing the results.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Coach? What are your thoughts? Do you think that for those that might still find the contract extension for Goff distasteful, that it's like, listen, regardless of your personal feelings, you got to trust Holmes on the matter? What do you think?
No, I mean, at this point, I trust anything Brad Holmes do, and why would you not extend Jared Goff? I mean, what has he not done at this point to not deserve an extension? Him or Dan Campbell, because at some point we need to think about extending him.
Well, Campbell isn't up for another contract, I think, for another 2 or 3 years. And I will say this right now. Okay. There ain't no way Campbell's leaving Detroit anytime soon. They ain't going to happen. Freaking, I'm willing to bet you this, that before it even becomes a topic of conversation, Shield will probably offer him another 4, 5, 6 year deal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
Because whatever happens Sunday, we need to have plans in place moving forward to either, keep Jared Goff and add more weapons on the offensive side, or, hopefully defensive side, because I think right now we kind of solidified on the offensive side because you got to re-sign Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell, but you can pick up that 5th-year option to kind of save you some breathing room until that time comes. But now I trust anything Brad Holmes does at this point because
the way I look at it is the way I look at it is this. Penei Sewell, you can pick up the 5th-year option. You can't do that for St. Brown because he was a
That's
4th
right,
round
because he's a
draft
fourth
pick.
round pick. He's a 4th-round pick.
So Sewell, you could pick up that 5th-year option just to get that out of the way and then sign him to a longer deal later on if you wanted to. But with St. Brown, since he was drafted in 2021, his contract is up at the end of next year. He's going to need a new contract. So it's like, listen, it's like you need to get that contract out of the way because St. Brown is easily going to command 15, 20 million a year. Easily.
But he said he ain't really thinking about it though on his podcast, that little St. Brown Bros thing.
Yeah, the 33rd team.
Yeah, DJ Moore was telling him how he's going to get paid and all that, and he was like, I ain't even thinking about that. Like, I'm just thinking about, you know, the playoffs, or thinking about this, thinking about that, or thinking about that list of people who was drafted before him. Like,
well, you have to think about it from St. Brown's perspective, and it's the same perspective that Goff has. It's like, listen, I'm not going to worry about the money. The money will figure itself out in the end anyway. My job is to go out and play. If I play well, I'm going to get paid. If I don't play well, I'm not going to get paid.
Well, win games.
At that point, then, once you start having the contract negotiations, then it's the difference between, okay, this is what the agents want, this is what the team's willing to get, how you can find a happy medium, what the player is willing to take, and then, okay, you have yourself a contract. So that's
not
just
worried
my
though. I
personal
think
opinion.
they'll both sign team-friendly deals. That's going to be financially well for them.
Of course. I'm not worried at all at this team having players that are going to be greedy because that just goes completely against the mindset of what Dan Campbell has built. These players aren't greedy. They're about winning. Are they going to get paid? They want to get paid? Yeah, they're going to want to get paid, but not to the detriment of everybody else. But anyway, what do you think, Chris? What are your thoughts on it? Do you trust Brad Holmes' decision-making process if he gives Jared Goff that contract extension?
Absolutely, I trust Brad Holmes, but at the same time, it's just not us as fans discussing it. It's also the team discussing it, and a lot of our players just want to keep a winning franchise. They're willing to take a cut, like you say. Everybody needs to get paid because they got to pay bills, but at the end of the day, they would basically give back so our cap can stay where it is so we can bring in players to help build our dynasty. And that's what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes actually been talking about. And that's what a lot of the players are talking about. Like even with Hutch, when his contract is up, or when a lot of the people, it's just the way that the culture is and how their attitudes and humbleness towards the salary cap when analysts ask them, they like, I don't want that extra money. I just want the team to keep winning. The money's going to come if we keep winning. But other than that, I would take wins over cash any day.
All right, fair enough. Big comment here by Grant Kennedy. Thanks for the donation as well. He said, just wanted to say I was wrong about Goff, which he said several times here, but he says, I am no bandwagon fan. I worked my fourth 12-hour shift, got off at 7 p.m. and went to the game last week and slept at work after the game. Jared Goff. I'll say this, that what I consider bandwagon fans is like, listen, you know what? You can have a personal gripe with a player all you want because you know what? People are not going to like certain players. But if you can maintain yourself with the team as a core principle, I consider yourself still a true fan because it's like, you know what? There are people out there that don't like Jared Goff. There are people out there that may not like Kirby Joseph. They may not like, CJ. They may not like this player or that player, but it's like, listen, if you still deck your Honolulu blue and silver and you still root for the team, win, lose, or draw, then you're a true diehard fan because you cannot like a player and still root for the team any day of the week. I consider ironic and funny that you have people that for 2.5, 3 years have held this narrative that Goff sucks and he's just been propelled up by Ben Johnson or whatever. And it's like, listen, Goff has proven that narrative is not even close to accurate. So it's like, listen, if you're willing to admit you were wrong, then that's all I care about. Admit you were wrong and move the hell on, like Grant just did. But if you're going to continue to flaunt that, no, Jared Goff ain't this. It's like, dude, now you're just looking like an idiot. That's just my personal take on that, though. Quick question here from somebody that left this question here. It's a question for the panel from Paul Thomas. He says, question for the panel. Does Aaron Glenn put Cam Sutton on Debo or move him to a zone? Well, first and foremost, when
No.
we played in zone, it hasn't done well to begin with, and I'm not putting I'm not putting Cam Sutton on Debo for nothing.
No.
I mean, you
DJ
double
Gardner
team him.
Johnson.
You double team him. You don't put one guy on Debo. Same thing with Ayuk.
Right.
It's like you can't do that. It's like you can't play zone against this type of a team because it's like, listen, the way I look at it is Brock Purdy has the same ability to digest and dissect zones like Goff does. You've got to confuse him with man zones, cover zones. You got to do man defense. You got to throw everything out there. You can't just be one type of defense.
Nah. We got to do what we did today because we mixed up the blitzes. I thought we blitzed well coming from the outside. You know, we're gonna have to give up something just because we're not that good on the back end. But we can't go, man. Yeah,
it's the saying of you got to know when to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
All right, folks, this is the last topic of the night, so here we go. We'll start with Chris. Here it is. The 49ers, and I'm saying this just because of the score, barely escaped from the Packers in Levi Stadium, winning 24-21. The Lions have beaten the Packers and have shown the resiliency to win in big games against the big dogs. Do you think the Lions can do the impossible and beat the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl? Again, I say the word can, not will. Can they do the impossible? What do you think, Chris?
Absolutely. And like our fellow brethren, Michael Banks, boot up. We going to the Super Bowl.
All right, fair enough. I definitely had Michael Banks on the show in the past, and he's always fun to have.
Yep, I was on one of them.
Yeah, he's a great guy to be around. Definitely enjoy talking to him. What do you think, Coach? Do you think the Lions can do the impossible and get to the Super Bowl and, beat the 49ers? What do you think?
Yep, we've showed it all year. We went to different venues and won games, primetime games. Seem to be our specialty this year. What are we like 6-2 in primetime games? So I mean, and the 49ers are not, if you watched the game last night, they're not that scary. Defensively, they got great linebackers. Nick Bosa got banged up a little bit. Chase Young, I mean, he's there, but he ain't really done shit. So he doesn't really scare me. The only thing that really scares me is those wide receivers, man, and our secondary. That'll always be the Achilles heel for us. The secondary and the other team's wide receiver, because they'll always have better receivers than we do DBs. So that'll always be my scare.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Chemical? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I think that we can go on just like he was saying and what Chris was saying. We've proven that we can go on road and win in big games like that. I heard Rich Eisen say this 2 days ago. He said the Detroit Lions has the best road winning team in the NFL. That was his.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. What do you think, Jay? Do you think the Lions can do the impossible in Levi Stadium? I think Jay stepped away for a moment. So here's what I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is this. When you think about it, for me, I think the Lions can do it because you take a look at every game to this point. They've all been tests for this ultimate test. We beat the Kansas City Chiefs on the road, beat them in a high-profile place.
Yeah.
We have beaten teams in games that were also high-profile, like the Packers at Lambeau Field to start the year. We should have beat the Cowboys on the road in week whatever it was. We beat the Rams, considered one of the most dangerous teams coming into the NFC playoffs this year. So it's like, listen, we have played teams that either we were not supposed to beat or we really had a slim chance of beating, and we came in, we handled business. And we passed all of those tests. So it's like, listen, you have set up a situation to where it's like, listen, all of these prior tests that you've had to this point have set you up to put you in a position to win a game like this, where you're going into Levi Stadium. You're playing against the San Francisco 49ers, considered to be the heavyweights in the NFC conference. This is your moment. You've had all these other tests that have set you up for this position right here. So, and it looks like Jay just came back, so I'm going to ask him. Jay, do you think the Lions can do the impossible?
All right, yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened. It was technical difficulty, but not only do I think they can do it, I think that they need to do it because too many people are trying to say that Green Bay is up there with us, and I want to knock them down a peg. So if we can take 49ers out, then and go to the Super Bowl, it's gonna prove everybody wrong.
All right. So I agree with most what everyone has said, and we have reached the end of our show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the show off here. So because there's 2 minutes left in the game for the Chiefs and the Bills, so that's going to be a big 2 minutes. But I appreciate everybody that's tuned in for the show, all the fans and your comments, your donations, the panel. You guys have been awesome. But we'll be back next week to do the live stream of the game because there will not be a post game that night. Because by the time that game gets done, it's going to be like freaking almost 11 o'clock at night. And ain't nobody going to want to be staying up that late. So we'll probably do the post-game show probably either on Monday or Tuesday, depending. Whatever happens, that'll be then. But until next Sunday at 6:30 for the live stream for the game, I'll see you guys all then. Hope you guys all have a great day and go Lions.
Peace.